He did.
They just told me he did.
Okay.
I hadn't heard.
He did.
That's good stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody told me today that he had himself a phone. Are you kidding me?
We still have to match it though. Do we still have to match it to mute it or mute it to match it?
I think it.
No, it's done.
But I'm not sure when it's still ready.
Is he on all the time?
Yes.
Who are the little kids on the front second row?
First, and the heat lets us know that we're in the middle of, that we have started summer here. I am really excited to see all the young people with us today. I'm excited to hear what y'all are here for, but we're going to go through the agenda first. Mr. Langford's going to lead us in a prayer, and Commissioner Thomas is going to lead us in the pledge.
Pray with me, please. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father in heaven, the creator of the universe, the great I am, we approach our throne of grace, Father, thanking you for this another beautiful day, an opportunity we're allowed to live here on the face of the earth and to serve you. We're so grateful, Father, that we can have an opportunity to come together and conduct the county business that's been set before us. We pray that you'll guide our minds and hearts in the right direction, and we'll make the right decisions that'll best benefit not only the citizens of the county, but the state and wherever we may go and whatever we may do. We ask, Father, that you be with our first responders and our military and all the ones who protect us each and every day and put their life on the line. And we just pray, Father, that you protect them in every way possible and keep them safe. We ask, Father, that you forgive us of our shortcomings. Sometimes we sin and we separate ourselves from thee, and there's nothing worse than being separated from our Creator and our Father and our Savior. We just ask, Father, that you would forgive us and be found righteous in the sight once again. We ask, Father, that you go with us now as we conduct the business here today. Keep us all safe in our trouble. Continue to bless us. Be with our nation. In Christ's precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Address flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will move on right along. Are there any agenda changes?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, if I could, one of the items on my report, if we could move it up to, right behind the county administrator's first item,
Okay,
so that person can.
yes, yes, okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda with the noted change?
Second.
All right, from properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we have, had a chance to review the consent agenda. Any
Motion.
questions?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner Langford to approve the consent agenda. If, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, before we go into public participation today, we have a 4 o'clock, time certain, and we've got a audit we need to go through, and our presenter has another, event he needs to be at, so we're gonna go right into that part and let him come up and then introduce himself and go through this with us.
Thank you. Excited to have the softball team there. I have a double header in the sense I've got 2 presentations, so I do appreciate you guys having the flexibility to let me present earlier.
Will you tell us your name real quick, because we have to report it?
Yeah, my name is Brendan McKittrick. I'm the director with James Moore Company.
Okay.
There's a PowerPoint on the projector. I also handed out the.
This is my email.
Can you hear me all right? So my name is Brendan McKittrick, a director with James Moore Company. I'll be presenting the financial statements for the county for fiscal year in September 30th, 2023. You can see the PowerPoint presentation on there. I've also handed out a printout for you all to follow, really summarizing the items in both the financial statement or the financial statements themselves. Before I get into the presentation itself, I did want to thank the commission again for the opportunity to perform the audit this year. Want to thank the clerk as well as Richard for all their help. There's a lot of work that goes into these financial statements, so appreciate everything that they do to get us here to this point. So one thing I always like to remind the commission is that these financial statements are the county's and management. However, as auditors, we're required to include audit reports in here as well. The first report is where we express our opinion. Really the basis of the reliability of the numbers in your financial statement. So we do have what's called an unmodified opinion. It's a clean opinion. It's kind of the best opinion we can provide over a set of financial statements. The second report is the single audit report. So the county did have federal and state grant expenditures over $750,000. Because of that, you're required to go through what's called a single audit. So some additional testing we do from a compliance and control perspective. You can see here we had no issues or findings noted in that report either. The third report, the internal control and compliance report. We don't express an opinion over internal controls. However, we're required to look at those internal controls as part of our process. And you can see we don't have any comments in that report either. The fourth report, what we call the management letter to the Auditor General, again, some more required communication. And again, happy to report no findings or recommendations in that report. And then finally, the examination report, just indicating there's no non-compliance issues that we noted either.
That is absolutely awesome to hear. When you look across the comments and they're all zeros, that means everybody's doing everything right. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a great report. They're all great reports.
Yeah, I've always said we have one of the best staffs in that area that you could ask for. So I thank them for doing a great job.
Awesome.
And dotting all the i's and crossing all the t's. And I thank you for doing a thorough audit for us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I did also want to acknowledge we do issue 6 reports. So the constitutional officers also have separate reports. This is a summary just indicating any comments in those reports too. And to your point, Chairman, there are no comments in any of the reports that we issued. So the previous slide was more specific to the board. This is for all the constitutional officers as well. And again, we appreciate all their hard work because again, there's a lot of questions that we ask of them as well. So back on the board side, just looking at some of the numbers, specifically on your general fund, which is your main operating fund that you have. These are the different fund balances. really looking at the last 3 years, biggest change from last year to this year is your assigned fund balance, which is really your budgeted, or your next fiscal year budget. Overall total fund balance, again, comparable to if you compared it to fiscal year 22. And then along the same lines, what we do is we take those assigned and unassigned fund balances and we compare it to expenditures and transfers out as a percentage. So the benchmark we use is the GFOA indicates at minimum you want to have 2 months, which is 16%. This year you're all at about 71%, again, kind of where we would want to see it, not close to that 16%. So again, kind of in the what we want to see as far as that percentage. Some other highlights for you all to be aware of, other governmental fund balance at about 10.5 million. Did want to acknowledge that you do have a large liability related to FRS, your net pension liability. That's included. It's about $17.8 million. Biggest point here is there's no budgetary impact for you all related to that liability. It's really just the contributions about you're required to contribute to FRS, which you guys have made and budgeted for. And with that, I will open it to any questions.
Any commissioners have any questions?
I think it's a good audit.
Looks like
pleased.
it's what we like to see. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. We certainly do appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
All right. We will move right in then to public participation. This is a time in a meeting where if you're not on the agenda and you'd like to address the board with a concern, we do it 2 times during the meeting. We do it at the beginning, we do it at the end. So is there anybody that'd like to address the board? Come on up if you would. You come up to the podium, tell us your name, and we give you 3 minutes. So, but with all those, we might give you a few extra seconds if you need it.
We've got a lot of children here.
All right, my name is Holly. I am the 8U softball coach for our Gilchrist Lightning team. This is Coach Chuck, who's been along the way with me. Go ahead and tell them all your names. So we're an AU team. We just finished playing ball, as you can tell. We went and competed for the state title, and we won state championship. We just played against a team from West Palm Beach. The team we played actually had 6 different teams to choose from. With us being a smaller area, we only had, these are my girls all year. We didn't get to choose from other teams. So what we had is what we played with. And we won the entire thing, won the state championship. So we now have been presented with an opportunity to go to the Softball World Series, which at the end of this month. We just found this out today with this win. So we come before you guys today. We didn't know if there was any type of donations or if there was anything we could do. We have a very short period of time to try to raise quite a bit of money. I know, a lot of the parents are like, oh, we're gonna get on board. What are we gonna do for this? So anything would be greatly appreciated. And I know the girls would appreciate that. Girls? They work very, very hard.
I can't speak for the other commissioners, but we often help teams that do things like that. And so we don't do it through the commission, but most of us are willing to put as much as we can afford to put in. And so we can get the information of who to write it out to and all that and let us know. Like I said, I can't speak for them, but I know them well enough to know they'll all dig in their pocket a little bit.
Well, hell,
When did you say?
Where are y'all going?
When are you going?
We will be going to Florence, Alabama.
Okay,
It will be July 23rd through the 31st.
okay. So this is an old church building. We could pass the plate around.
Yeah. Where's the offering plate? Yeah.
We got a good crowd. You could collect
Yeah,
quite a bit.
yeah. Anybody in the crowd that would like to donate, I'm sure they would love for you to come by. And so congratulations, girls. Thanks for quite an event. Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go.
picture here and, yeah, we'll get a picture with them. Most
When you get
definitely.
down there, go down.
I like to stand with some champions. That's pretty good.
Whew. That's the boy. Going to Alabama.
All right, well, congratulations again to those girls, and like I said, if anybody else would like to help, I'm sure they would love to have
Yes.
your donations to help them out.
Yes,
Off
they
to
will.
Alabama.
Yeah,
Yep, that's good.
I wonder if they have any idea what it's gonna cost.
That is wonderful.
All right, any other public participation? Yes, sir. Come on up if you would. Tell us your name and,
Joel Foreman, attorney for Jeff and Ron Jordan. I'm not gonna get a standing ovation, and we're probably not gonna take a picture of them. It is nice to see everyone again. I was
Can't
traveling.
hear.
I'm sorry?
if there's the mic, could you pick up the mic?
The mic? I've never heard that. Oh.
There's a little commotion back there with all those youngins leaving.
A little better?
Yeah.
All right. Everybody hear me? Okay. Joel Foreman for Jeff and Ron Jordan. I was traveling last week, and while I was traveling, I think what probably amounts to more of a misunderstanding than anything else came up. And it relates to Mr. and Mrs. Jordan's annual fireworks display at their 4th of July party, which they've had for about 8 years. And when you tack them on with their neighbors who've had it, it's been about 20. Never before have they pulled a permit, never before have they asked. It's a private function on private property. For whatever reason, Mr. Jordan was approached by the sheriff and said, hey, you may want to think about getting a permit. Of course, I was traveling, so he didn't have me to ask. And just for information, I was in Teton, Yellowstone, and Glacier. And if anybody can get out there, get out there. We live in a beautiful country. Bottom line is, I don't really think Mr. Jordan needs the permit. I know he did file an application. I have reviewed the ordinance. I have reviewed the state statute. I've written my thoughts to Mr. Lang. We had a brief conversation this afternoon. But Mr. Jordan asked me to come and speak to you today, see if you had any questions, and just reassure you, he has no intention of breaking the law, does not want to break the law. But based on my advice, he will go forward on the 6th for his party. But it will be a private function on private property. So if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to address them. And again, as I've indicated, I sent an email to Mr. Lang.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very
Any
much,
other
folks.
Questions? Okay, did you want to comment on?
No, the state statute is in place. We have a county ordinance is in place. The applicant, will address him as the applicant. If his council doesn't believe that he needs a permit, then they can proceed as they deem appropriate. And, with that being said, that's really all that the board action, can be at this particular time, especially since it's only under public participation, not set as a time certain for public participation as far as the, belabored discussion concerning the matter.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
All
it.
right, appreciate it. All right. Any other public participation? All right, then we will move on with our, move right on down the agenda.
Yes, sir.
And we'll go, there are no constitutional officers here, so we'll move on to the county administrator's report.
Yes, sir. My first item is, fiber by Central Florida, an update. I think there's Mr. Denny George. I thought I saw him out there. He's just gonna give you an update on their fiber.
I think I can probably not hold that. It'll work just fine.
Yeah.
I'm Denny George. I'm the general manager for Central Florida Electric Co-op as well as Fiber by Central Florida. Just wanted to provide a quick update. So probably by the end of this weekend, we will break 7,000 customers. And that's all through county. And so where are we now in regards to Gilchrist County? The Trenton and Bell substations, both have been fully built out and are now connecting customers every day. Those that originally signed up, and then those that, believe it or not, are just finding out we're in the fiber business. And so we're getting them signed up and getting them connected. The Newberry substation, which serves the southeast part of Gilchrist County on your way over to Newberry, all of that fiber is in the air. The Langston feeder was released for home installs just last week. That's almost 5,000 pre-signed up customers. Newberry Preston Hodge feeder will probably be ready mid to late August, and that's another 500. Then we go to Neal substation, which is the northeast part of Gilchrist. That fiber is almost all in the air. There's just a few pieces to get that fully completed. And the Neal's Smith Store feeder and voting booth feeder will probably be ready for home installs mid to late August as well. And that's another 600 to 700 customers that are already signed up. So past Neal's and the last Newberry substation feeder, other than the Duke serve and City of Newberry, and of course I realize that City of Newberry is Alaska County, all of Gilchrist County CFEC members will have high-speed internet. Certainly around the October timeframe, I would think that we may still be hooking up some, but will be for the most part. Those in Gilchrist County will have high-speed internet at their mailboxes faster than what we can hit in Haynesville. So just a great story. The Duke serve is coming along. It's slower. Our test locations were Riverwalk, Greenway Palms, Mistletoe, and Quail Run. Those take rates in those areas are close to 75 and 80%. We did that just to get the wheels turning with the Duke energy processes. Our first major Duke serve construction will be Trenton proper, 26 corridor to Fannie. We're working out the bugs in that now, trying to get that moving as quick as possible. We hope to be pulling fiber in August. So that will basically fall onto the process that Duke has. Our first year take rate for the entire project was expected to only be 18 to 22%. We're at 36% right now. And if you look at just the Gilchrist portion of that, Trenton substation is 50%, so 1 out of every 2. Bell substation is 41. Newberry is 46. And of course, I realize for Newberry, that was those currently already been hooked up and those pre-registered to be hooked up. Got much more work to do there. The Neal substation is about 34% pre-registration. And of course, as we continue to splice and start, they see more activity up in that area. Well, those numbers will climb. I'd like to thank County Manager Bobby Crosby for setting up a streamlined permitting process that helped us very quickly move through not only Gilchrist County, but the other counties as well. I have heard horror stories of other projects, not only in Florida, but in other parts of the country, where the county administration and Florida Department of Transportation were not particularly helpful. In our area, we have found nothing but help, and it has facilitated greatly our ability to take an almost 5-year project and move it down to just slightly over 2 years. So we're very appreciative of that, as well as Manager Crosby, as well as Commissioner Smith, active leaders in the local technology planning team that we got to participate on. That was a critical part of when we submitted for grant reimbursement and grants themselves from the Office of Broadband. We were able to secure those because of that participation. So just one quick thing on reliability. You may hear from time to time that, hey, it went out because a car hit a pole. So there is a little chatter that this would have been much better if it was just totally underground. I don't argue with that. except if it was totally underground, then nobody would be getting it.
Wouldn't be near as fast either.
3 to 5 times more expensive to be underground. In fact, even though that is true, 2 of our major outages that we've had were underground outages. If I was driving down the road and saw somebody with a backhoe digging in a ditch, I wouldn't think anything of it. But if I saw somebody swinging an axe at a power pole or anyone else, we would have hundreds of phone calls advising us of that. So there's many scenarios where it's a little bit safer in the air. We do have to get good at repairing, and we're beginning that process towards the end of this year. We will be putting into place. Right now, today, outages are done by our contractors in country, but post early next year, we will begin the process of actually doing it ourselves. And so we're getting those wheels in motion, and look forward to getting everything completed by this time next year. We'll really be done. And just working.
I certainly want to commend y'all on the excellent job you've done. And your crews, they work 7 days a week.
They do.
I mean, they really on the ball. They got my neighborhood, they ran it along the highway, and they ran it to the neighborhood there now. And I talked to them the other day, and they said the last mall provider would come out and bring it to the house. But yeah, they've made great progress.
Well, we're ready for it to be done.
Yeah. Everybody I've talked to also has been very courteous and willing to fix some things. They ran a wire that was a little low where I take in some, hay equipment and stuff, and man, 2 or 3 days, they're back out, putting a new pole in, getting it up. They've done a great job. And what I've got at my house has been fabulous.
Mr. Chair, we do from time to time have crews that are from, well, not only those that are from outside, but even those that are sourced locally do a better job than others. And it takes us a little bit of math to solve where those crews that are and who they are that aren't performing, and we usually get rid of them pretty quickly after we determine who they are. Some of those are local, and then some of those are from outside of the area or even the state. But I tell our staff that for those, they hear the ones that don't go perfect. I get texts and emails and voicemails all through the week of the quality job that's being done by individuals.
Mr. Dean, can I just,
Sure.
everybody else is gonna thank you as well. It was a big leap, I think, for Central Florida Electric
It was.
to take on the fiber side. And so to you all, your directors, everybody that was part of that, George Buckner, who I know leads
Yep.
that effort for you all, it's a big deal for Gilchrist County and the Tri-County area. So we appreciate everything that you do. And I know you're already known for your customer service, and I know that's gonna be the same way with the fiber. So thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, good deal. Glad to hear that, all of Gilchrist County is soon gonna be high speed. And they have done a great job. All right, we'll move on to B.
I actually think at this point, Mr. Newton would like to.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if we could do my agenda change real quick. I'd like to bring up the executive director for the chamber. County administrator had asked that our executive director kind of be the liaison for the 100-year celebration, centennial celebration committee. And he's been heading that up, and if I could just ask him to come up and give a quick presentation.
Okay.
Wanted to give the board an idea of what the committee's come up with, make sure that everything is agreeable to what the board wants to see happen. So I'll let him speak now.
Thank you for your time. Walter Woolrich, Executive Director for Gilchrist County Chamber of Commerce. We formed a committee, a group of citizens, businesses, government officials that came together on a monthly basis. And I'll try to give it in a chronological order so you can kind of see what they're thinking about. But again, the Gilchrist County 100th anniversary is in 2025. So they would like to start January 31st possibly, because they would like to have a grand opening. We're trying to find right now a location where we can have definitely some type of event. Vendors, crafts, food vendors, games for the kids, somewhere the community can come together, and then in the evening have some type of fireworks for the grand finale. And that's on the 31st. Again, we're working on the venue. We do have some areas that we are looking into. We'll have more information for you. The beauty pageant, actually, they'd like to have a Miss Gilchrist County.
Oh, neat.
And, that is scheduled for February 1st. And the reason why we picked that date is because during the day, you have a walkathon in this community, in Gilchrist County. So we thought, hey, let's have the walkathon during the day, and in the evening, we have the beauty pageant. We actually have, maybe you know her, Miss April Aiken. She is heading that up, and she's putting that together. So, again, we're moving forward in that direction for a beauty pageant. The next thing that came across is you've heard of the Swanee Valley Quilt Festival. Well, the Swanee Valley Quilt Festival, through Chamber and that has already came to the committee and they're attending and everything else. But they want to make sure that the Quilt Fest is based around the 100th anniversary. In other words, they'd like to see more of the, well, first of all, the pageant winner. They want the pageant winner to be there. But on top of the pageant winner, I need to kind of reverse a little bit. When we have a pageant winner, they'd like to see some type of scholarship for these young ladies. So that's another thing that we're trying to work on, make sure that the winner gets some type of scholarship and recognize. But anyway, the Swanee Valley Quilt Festival, we want the ladies to be present and everything else, but we're going to bring back the old antiques and tractors, the old crafts, and we also want to bring some type of competition, pie, jam, jelly competition. That local. I did focus locally on the local history and everything else. So we're definitely working on that. Again, the location for that is going to be at the old train depot, where it always is, and so we're definitely setting that up. The next item was, I'm sure you've heard of the 100-year feast. So this is, we've named it the 100-year feast. We want to hold it at the Agriculture Center. Miss Julie Thomas is leading that. She's already laid out the venue, the food, definitely putting things together. So again, we have the 50-50 drawing, we have sponsorships, I mean, all the different ideas are coming together, and she has to have maybe there's really pulling this together. That date, again, will be September 20th, 25, and the 20th, 25. Another nice thing too is we had the town of Bell that's been attending these meetings. And Mr. and Mrs. Moore, the mayor, she actually, the town of Bell has agreed to make the Christmas parade themed around the 100th anniversary. So that was really nice of them to do. On top of that, we already have a committee, individuals together. We've created the 100th anniversary logo. We wrote it. It's a great design. We have an individual that has created a website, a social media site. We actually have a strategic marketing plan already being created and in place to promote this. And really, we're looking at promoting it throughout the state of Florida, but anyone that wishes to attend. You know, at the Swanee Valley Quilt Festival, we get people from all over the country. So again, we really want to focus the tourism, the people into this area to recognize what Gilchrist County is all about. On top of that, I really want to give a special thank you to the Thomas Six Ranch. Because believe it or not, they paid for the website. They stood up, they said, hey, we'll take care of that. And that's the domain name and everything else. So I just want to really make sure that you recognize for that. On top of that, another nice thing is we have the Women's Club. They're creating a calendar that has the history of 100 years, Gilchrist County. Another thing that's really, I thought was really great is we actually have Miss Kimberly Hines in the school net. She's creating a curriculum that we taught in our schools so that our youth actually will start learning about our history within this community. I thought that was really nice. In reference to you wanted to know about the banking and handling the money and everything else, Mr. Newton here, Clerk of Court Net, along with the Chamber, they've agreed that they would, again, handle any funds that came in with county that, to make sure that distributing the funds is correct. We do have a treasurer, Ms. Sandy Moore is the treasurer of the committee on that. So again, all three of these individuals in that are coming together, finding out exactly how we're going to handle the logistics of this. Again, this is just a report, but I thought the county should realize, especially as commissioners, that we are moving forward, we are trying to bring these ideas to you. Please, if you have anything that you want, or any suggestions, or, thoughts, by all means, we are open. Again, this is a volunteer group, and I keep on telling everyone, we're open. Just give us your thoughts. And, we all want to bring the best to Gilchrist County. The next meeting is July 25th at 5 p.m. right here. So again, if you wish to attend, by all means, you can attend. And, again, every month, we're just moving forward. It's amazing how the committee is coming together. Any questions?
Sounds like y'all got a lot planned and it sounds awesome. Y'all
Yeah.
have really put some thought into this.
I'm just impressed with all the things y'all have already thought of and all the things you're doing. There's a lot of history in Gilchrist County with beauty pageants, so bringing a beauty pageant in was a great idea. I don't know if you've looked into finding if there's any residents that are 100 years old that were actually here when it started that Mike could give this some insight, or could be an honorary king or queen of the event. But
Great idea, yeah.
things like that, I think what you've come up with is awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to get a calendar of all the events that you've planned, though, so that we know exactly what's going on. But I think you're doing a great job. I'm
That's
excited.
the whole thing with the social media and everything else. We knew that we had to put something together to get the word out. So again, as soon as we start finding some of these venues, and locking things in place, we'll be able to give you more of an update and everything else. So, again, I'm asking for any budget, any requests or anything else. We gotta know these things. And so we're trying to put all this stuff together, so that you, the county officials.
There's a lot of people stepping up to the plate too.
There are a
That's great,
lot of people
great.
stepping up to the plate.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
we talk about this a lot at the Chamber of Commerce
Right.
meeting, but
Absolutely.
it's just, everybody wants to participate. Everybody wants to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And so
It's a big deal.
again, we're not trying to, dictate, we just want to support.
Yeah.
Individuals.
And Walter, we appreciate what you're doing, and I know there's lots of folks in the community involved, and we appreciate your leadership. You mentioned funding, so are you doing fundraising, or are you needing help that way?
Well, there will be an area where we don't, again, we know some of the budgets and we don't want fireworks and that. This is gonna cost some funds. Again, this is something that, when we have our budget kind of laid out more formally, to where we actually can tell you, this is really what it is. We are getting there. They are turning their budgets into me to where I can kind of lay some things out. We do want to raise some funds. We do want sponsorships. They're talking about selling hats, shirts. So we're thinking about that. But again, we may need support again in order to make sure that this is kicked off to the county. For the 100th anniversary.
Could any of our tourism budget be applied towards this, since it is
I have looked into that, and it is a possibility for us to use it, especially like for the fireworks, things that are gonna bring in, people from outside our county. I believe that that is a possibility, and that's something that we're gonna be discussing, during budgets.
All right, great.
Once we have some better numbers for everything. And again, there is plans to do like sponsorships with businesses, to help defray a lot of the costs, to the county. But I do believe there will be some costs that, the county will need to help. Help
Well,
fund.
it's celebrating our county, so it's certainly a worthwhile thing to invest in, and that looks like we got people doing the work, man. I mean, I was just impressed with all the things y'all planned. So I'm looking forward to it. And when we get into budgets this year, we'll start having meetings here, I would assume, pretty quick.
We're gonna discuss that later today.
Is there any idea budget-wise of what you think you're going to be needing?
We do have some numbers that are projected and everything else, but we're not, again.
Not finalized yet.
Right, I hate to really be throwing some things out where it's really not clear what you're here. Again, this is just the process. We've been meeting monthly, trying to keep the communications open the whole time, taking it, input in, and just trying to work through any issues that we may have. And honestly, it's all volunteers. It's all different organizations in the Hills. But as you can see, we already have one organization there's paint on our website. And, the main, so they just put that, and boom, hey, no problem, we got it all covered. I believe it's gonna happen. I truly do.
Oh, yeah.
It will.
We wanna base it around this community, this county, you know, the
It's exciting.
citizens, the history, and have fun while we do it.
A lot of neat history here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We certainly do appreciate it. And all the work that you're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, then we will move back on to, B of the general, county administrator's report.
Yes, sir. My next one is a donation of bricks to the Lancaster Correctional Facility. They have a mason construction class for inmates, and they would like to have them for teaching. Where these bricks came from, when the expansion of the courthouse, it was completed in 2007. We've had these bricks sitting around since then. Lancaster's actually won some awards within the prison system for their very good mason program. As you know, they help us with inmates. They asked for very little, but they saw these bricks one day and said, hey, we could really use these, because they actually use them, wash them, reuse them, and do some different things. So if you'd like to donate those bricks to them, we don't have to deliver anything. They're going to come out with a trailer, and inmates, they'll load them up and share them to them.
Do you have any idea how many there is on it?
I think there's like 4 or 5 pallets, but I cannot tell you what's on a pallet. Some of the pallets are kind of busted, fell over, different sizes. So, yeah.
Do you know of any construction in the near future where we may need the brick around the Veterans Memorial or someplace else?
We
Or
tried
we
to
might
use
want to
them
save a pallet?
We tried to use them on the front part of the jail just for the decorative part, and the mason wouldn't use them. He said they've been sitting around and they're chipped and broke, and, you know, they
Okay.
fell a couple times, and he wouldn't even use them. I'm not saying they couldn't be used, but it's gonna have to be in something that's a non-stress type situation or something, but they didn't even wanna depend on them on the front.
Okay.
Motion to approve
Whoa,
the
whoa, whoa,
request.
whoa, whoa, wait just a moment. You would need to, have a motion to declare that as surplus property of no use to the county and donate it to another governmental entity, which would be the Department of Corrections for their use in their, building trades department.
Okay.
So they got to come back with it.
So we need to,
You need to go
need
ahead
a
and.
motion to make it surplus,
Yeah, they're-
material,
That's
so we
correct.
can donate it to another governmental agency.
So make that move.
All right, we got a motion to, make it surplus, so we can, we got a second. We got a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner Smith to make the blocks, a surplus item. So, and we'll turn around and donate them to the,
Lancaster.
Lancaster Correctional Institution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Good deal. That would, we used to have a, program like that at Bell High School when I was in school. And, they actually built part of the old ag department, but they laid all the brick for the wall. So, it is certainly a skill that is needed. And, so I think it's not only a great skill to be teaching them, but be happy to help them in some way. So that's good. All right.
We had that program at Trenton too, and a couple of those boys went on to be professional brick makers, block makers.
And contract.
And
Yeah.
contract.
All right.
Wish we had more of that.
Yep.
Mhm.
The next item is item C, Northwest 30th, Northwest 20th projects. As I've made you aware through emails that there were 16 gopher tortoise burrows located on this project, so it stopped the project. And so what we're going to have to do is relocate those gophers. They have located all the burrows. They have also completed the FWC permit, but we cannot submit the permit until we have a preserve that says they will take the gophers once they are harvested. So what we need to do is the Eden Preserve will take the gophers. We're looking at an amount of, if up to on the first 5 adults, you're looking at $5,000 a piece to place them there. And then 3 adults after that, would be $1,500. And we would need to pay a deposit to reserve this space of $3,900. There's a lot of work that's gonna go into this, just to let the board know. It's a wide area, but we could have somewhere before they're relocated and completed, around $50,000 to $75,000 is what they're estimating. The good side to this, if there is a good side, there was money left over in the project. I reached out to DOT and they're allowing us to use the grant fund for the relocation. So it's not gonna be any direct expense to the county. The other thing though, it's probably gonna delay this project around 90 days. Time everything.
I thought this was a kind of a pave in place thing, so how are we interfering with their life if we're just paving the existing road surface?
It's not a paved in place.
It's not.
No, there's no
right away.
DOT doesn't do paved in place anymore. You gotta have a certain amount of clear zone. We reduced the clear zone by reducing the speed limit based on the distance of the road, but there were still some clearing areas, and during that process of clearing,
That's where they identify.
these holes were identified. Yeah.
Didn't you have a staff member that was out marking the scope of tortoise?
We had to go remark them because some of the stakes torn down, and so.
Did you have an idea of how many that he was able to locate at that time?
Well, we don't know how many gophers. We know there's 16 boroughs.
16 boroughs.
Could be 5.
Yeah.
Bobby, are there any, I mean, this is the cheapest place that's, I know you'd have to have something that's qualified, probably certified, everything with the state and federal government. But anything else other than, I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's actually cheap.
Okay.
This was the least expensive place that they could find that was approved by FWC. The next closest price was $6,500.
And not only that, how long is the FWC permit good for? You have to do this within that permit period of time, or you lose out. You have to find another spot, you know what I'm saying?
I need to build me a gopher filter and start.
I'm telling you, we need
Well,
to go
the
in there.
Fort White mitigation is also an area, but there's no more room right there. They've maxed out the Fort White.
And if you notice, this is in Bascom, way out in West Florida.
Yeah,
Better take what you can get when you get it,
Yeah.
or you may not be have a place to put them. That's gonna stop the paving of your road.
Well, okay, well, we need to have a motion to, approve the Eden Preserve Agreement.
So move.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Thomas.
Okay.
We got a second by Commissioner Langford.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Mr. Newton, do you want them to add in the motion that it's okay to pay the deposit? Because that's not a normal thing we do of $3,900.
Yeah, it needs to be included.
can you include that on the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be reimbursed from the grant money eventually.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner Langford, to approve the down payment on the relocation of the gopher tortoises on the Eden Preserve Agreement. Is that correct?
Yeah, can I ask a question? Will? The agreement says it's for only 8 tortoises though. Are we gonna have to do something separate for the additional? Did you say there was 16?
There may be a charge for the additional if there's more than that. On the average, they say there's 50% or less based on the boroughs, and that's why they use the number of 8, because that's why that number came up. So it could be that we have an additional charge based on that. Again, the only thing, there's a lot of things you don't know yet, because you can't go harvest them and know how many you got and then go out and make a deal.
Yeah. Hopefully you can walk around and see whether, especially right after the storm, and see whether there's been any activity around it, so.
$950 to take them up there.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
The next item I have that we want to bring before you has to do with employee compensation. And the reason we want to bring this before you now, Ms. Moore has been, talking with me and working on this for some time now. And we saw where several other municipalities and counties do this as well. And this is something we need to know before we have the open enrollment, or she conducts an open enrollment, so employees would know about it. What it would be, if a full-time employee of the Board of County Commissioners elects not to be covered by county group insurance plan for medical and is instead covered pursuant to another policy. So you have to have health insurance, so you can't just not have it. Some people, they may be on their spouse's policy or whatever. The county shall pay the eligible employee as stated below. If your hours are 2,080 hours per year, that is a 40-hour-a-week employee. You get an additional $2.15 an hour. If an employee works 3,328 hours per year, that's $1.34 an hour. Your EMS and fire have longer mandatory schedules. An employee would sign an acknowledgement of having other health insurance. An employee loses health coverage and must pick up BOCC health coverage. The stipend amount per hour above will end. Employee must provide proof of loss of coverage within 30 days of loss of coverage to get insurance with us. What this is we have employees who have other insurance, but because the county pays 100% of the cost, they will take our insurance as well. So this is a win for the employee and would be a win for the county as well. For instance, an employee working a normal 40-hour week, the insurance costs us $4.30 an hour. Is what the cost of insurance. So you can see that's a reduction of 50%. Same thing on a 30 employees working 50, I think it's 56 hours, it's $2.60. So with a reduction of 50%, that's $1.34 an hour. So it's actually, it would increase the employees' pay, but it would also be a savings to the county.
Bobby, so you might have said it and I just missed it. The average cost per employee for us to pay their insurance is how much?
$4.30 an hour.
Okay, so we're basically half
Right, 50%.
we're paying.
What about, people on Medicare or when you
Well,
reach retirement?
if they're a full-time employee and they're on Medicaid, they could get the additional, or Medicare or Medicaid, they would get this additional pay. If they
Okay,
didn't want to take, hours.
Actually, I'm not sure about, we'd have to check into that. I don't think that, I think if you're working, if you're, as an employer, I think we're required to provide insurance even if they're on Medicare.
Oh,
So
okay.
oh, are you?
Well, we'll
I'm
have
not
to
sure
look
that
at,
that-
Medicare is a different animal,
Yeah,
but
that's a different beast.
I will say a lot of our people who are on Medicare that work for us, several of those are part-time employees, so this wouldn't even apply to them for being a part.
Okay, so it's just full-time employees.
The Board of County Commissioners insurance will be the primary insurance. Medicare would be the secondary. I mean,
I know that in a few years, but I don't quite yet.
Okay.
How many employees fall in this category?
If I had to guess, would you say maybe 20? The number of employees that would fall in this category, maybe 20? Yeah, I don't know exactly.
A small percentage, it sounds like.
It's a very small percentage.
Well, 20% is
It would help.
20%. That would help. Certainly would help. All right.
And it'll save the county money.
Yeah.
Do we need to move on a motion on this?
We'd like to ask you to go ahead and vote on it to make this part of, this be part of our policy, because when people come in for, enrollment, we need to be able to let them know whether they qualify or not.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion by, Commissioner Langford Sharon and a second by Commissioner Smith on it, the employee compensation, package that was presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
Thank you. I want to thank Ms. Moore for working on that.
Yes, thank you very much.
For quite a while.
Great idea.
Our next is number 7, it's the fire EMS. As you know, we received a grant for, to build a new, fire EMS station, located up here in the Trenton area. And we received bids on that. We went out to bid on sealed bids. We received 4 bids. We had a base bid amount, we had an alternate amount, 1, alternate 2, and an alternate 3. Hoffman Construction was a low bid with a base bid of $810,280 for the base bid. The alternate was $26,820. Alternate 1 was, alternate 2 was $400. and alternate 3 was $7,200. So we'd like to ask you to approve Hoffman Construction as the low bidder and the contractor for this job.
So Bobby, question, I'm thinking, you already checked all this, but as far as low bid is not always the best bid. But I think based on our conversation, all that is, we've looked into all that. And basically, we're satisfied. They've done work with us previously, right?
Often, they've probably done, I know at least 3 jobs I can think of right away. They did the expansion on the library, the remodel of the tax collector's office, the remodel of the supervisor's office. They did some work at Otter Springs, remodeling of restrooms and additional sidewalk and everything they've always done for us. They've done a great job, and normally through the process of the job, Mr. Hoffman, who is the owner, and he's also always on the job doing the work as well. Several times he's brought us savings through the job, brought to our attention where we could have some additional savings.
All right.
Why do you have a alternate 1, 2, and 3?
Alternate 1 is for it's for a shelter to walk from the one building to where the trucks would be, so that they wouldn't have to walk in the rain for that.
So it's kind of an add-on?
Yes, it's an add-on. Alternate 2 is some protection for corners, and to tell you the truth, I can't remember right now what alternate 3 was for, but we didn't select to do alternate 3.
So we're doing, alternate 1 and alternate 2?
We want to do, yeah, we'll talk about that, and the next one is the bid, it'll be the actual, contract, is the next one, and we'll go into that a little more, but yes, ma'am, we want to do, of course, the base bid, alternate 1 and 2.
Bobby, this is part of the appropriation package we got from the legislature, the 4.3 million.
Grant fund.
Senator Bradley, Representative Clem as the governor.
Yeah.
We've stated before, if you guys see those folks, we appreciate very much their help for Gilchrist County. So I'd make a motion, we approve Mr. Hoffman, or Hoffman Construction, Inc. as a low bidder for this project.
All right, we've got a motion to approve Hoffman Construction for the low bid on the fire station. Is there a second? Second. Got a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioner Langford to approve Hoffman Construction as a low bid on the fire station. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
The next item is the AIA, document contract for the actual construction with the contractor. With the way our bids are written, with him being the lowest bidder, we're able to negotiate and do what you call value engineering. And that's making some changes, reducing some costs. The amount of funds that we receive for this project, for the construction side is $777,000. So as you can see, what our bid tabulation, what that was more, but what we were able to do was working with Mr. Joe Hoffman and Hoffman Construction. We were able to reduce it by doing alternate 1, the base bid, alternate 1, and alternate 2 to $785,235. That's your contract price. That is $8,235 over the amount of the grant, but we're hoping that we can find some additional savings. If for some reason we did not, as we're going along, we'll be getting a hardened building that our employees can stay in during a storm, and would have to pay around $8,300.
This will be a hurricane safe building? Okay.
I don't want no changes. A lot of times they bid low, and then they get into the project, and they'll come back and say, we need another 20 here, another 30 here, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. I would like for it to just be, this is what they're gonna do it for, sign the contract, and that's what you get.
I've never had a change order from Joe Hoffman.
That's good.
That's
A
real
lot of them
good.
don't do that way.
I've had reductions from Mr. Joe Hoffman.
We
I've
like
never had a
those.
change order because he's unless we ask him to do additional work, and then we had to do it through a change order process. But
Let's maintain that pattern.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know on the courthouse over here, we had
well,
quite a few changes.
we've gotten to where when a contractor does a bid like this, we just tell them we just tell them we don't do change orders.
Right.
I mean, now if we go request for them to do additional work, then
That's one thing,
different.
but I just don't want them to bid it low and then come back and say,
Everything was
well,
in
we've
the
gotta
bid.
change this and we gotta change, I don't like changing.
You won't see a change I don't think you wouldn't see a change order for him for that.
Okay.
He's the kind of guy that he'd just do it himself.
Well, not only that, that would be up to you to approve any kind of change order also.
Yeah, I know, but if he gets you in a bind where you gotta have it, I mean.
Well,
He's in the middle of a
if he
building,
bids
say-
it, he has to live with it unless you agree that he can change the bid order. But I did have a couple of questions concerning the contract as well that I'd like to bring up if I could. The package that I received didn't include the general conditions, which is normally quite a number of pages that go with that. And two things in particular that I always look for in these contracts is the public records language that's mandated by the Florida legislature, and also venue being located here in Gilchrist County instead of in some foreign county like Leon or, you know, somewhere else. So I need to see those general conditions, as a supplement to this. And also in the grand totals, I'm a little confused. Maybe Bobby and the clerk have figured these out, but if you go to page 3, and he's offering to do the project for $785,235, then there's alternate 1 and alternate 2. Is that 785,235 total, or is that 785,235 plus the 26,820 for alternate 1 and plus the 420?
That's total.
That's total. Okay, so the 26,820 and the 420 are included in that number? Okay.
So what is the
Thank you
total?
for clarifying that, because
Yes.
that could have come up
And the
later.
52,000
Oh, we didn't say that, was it?
52,265 deduction.
So what's the
So-
total
so-
final price?
He's saying 785,235. So that'd be one little thing that I'd like, that I would add, that would be total cost. Because it is a little confusing when you get down into the alternates as far as 4.2.1, alternate 1 and alternate 2. You don't realize that those are built in. I kept trying to add those up and I never could make those things balance out. And accounting's not my forte. So anyway, I'm glad you clarified that.
All right.
Right.
Do we have a motion for the fire station construction contract?
Subject to approval by the county attorney of the general conditions.
All right. All right, we got a motion. Is there a second? Got a motion by Commissioner Langford, a second by Commissioner Thomas to approve the fire station, construction contract, with the ability for Mr. Lang to look over the contract and make sure, everything is, in order. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries.
The next item is the state EMS grant. This grant, Chief Campbell actually went out for this grant, and I'll let you explain it if you want to, Chief.
Chief Campbell Fire Rescue. This is the state matching grant. We always try to do something to improve. This grant is for improving EMS in any area. This is the one we've been most successful with. We put in this year for incident command, mobile education, public safety trailer. It's 40, basically a 40-foot trailer that has a command center in the front of it. The back half will have an open area that can be used for additional command staff, to be used for training and education. It's got big awnings that come out the side of it. We set up at different kinds of events, like the different county events we go to. It also helps us meet some of the strategic priorities of EMS, such as fall prevention programs, drowning prevention programs. The different events that we have in the county, let's say barbecue at the Heart, would be a great place to educate people on drowning prevention. There's normally a lot of kids out there. Do things like the bicycle helmet program. When they do the quilt festivals in town, that'd be a great time to emphasize our fall prevention programs, put out that data, our community paramedicine, things like that. So we were awarded this grant. It is a 25% match grant. And before we started on this grant, I looked at some command trailers in Orlando at the Florida Fire Conference, and they were $300,000 and $400,000. Looked online for a little bit, and I found a couple vendors that build race car trailers, and these things are essentially an RV plus a big storage area for a race car trailer. We don't need all the RV stuff. Let's command center instead. Found a company that's experienced in doing this, and the last update I got for a quote from him was under $100,000. That gives us room to add other equipment, maybe make the trailer larger, maybe add slide out, things like that. Obviously, we still have to do a bid pack and go out to bid for this because this is not on any kind of state contract. But we were awarded the amount minus our match. And I'll just tell y'all too that if we don't spend a full 125 on the trailer, then the money that we save goes back to the state. Our match will stay at 31,250. So I'd like approval to move forward with accepting the grant. And then I'll bring back to you a bid packet. We'll start a bid process and get a vendor selected to construct this.
Was this in our budget this year, this 31,000, or is it coming out of our budget?
So I would actually ask that we would do this out of general fund instead of the regular budget, because this will not be just for fire and EMS. TDC wants to use something like this, so we have the truck that'll pull it out there. But this can be used for public education in any aspect of our county. It can be used through the sheriff's office. It can be used through Heart Springs.
Is this something TDC could also help with that match?
I don't know.
Well, we may be able to, we'll have to look into it. And I wasn't gonna bring a lot of that up today, but I think there's a couple of options we can, depending on, like, it depends on what the event is used for. Anything we do with TDC, it has to be tied to people coming here to stay overnight. So if we have an event where, we're trying to promote people to come to stay overnight, then yes. So I'll talk to Ms. Kramer and see if there's any events like that she may be planning that this would be, because this type of unit would, I mean, if it's hot and you're having something, this is a great unit to have there.
Would we have it, done by the time we start our 100-year celebration stuff?
Once we can, the hardest part right now is gonna be creating the bid packet, which what I've done is I went and got quotes from multiple vendors, but those quotes give us a line item of things that we need to put in this trailer. I hope that the vendor that submitted that very low quote, because I've researched everything on that, I'm gonna put a lot of that in the bid pack. But he's saying about 10 to 12 weeks they can have this constructed. It's a very simple design. There's not a lot inside of it. It has a small restroom and things like that for extended deployment, has an onboard generator. The only thing that we would really need to provide for this is some way to move it. One of the ambulances that'll service is a Dodge 4500 single cab truck. We plan on using that to move this trailer, and they'll be paired together there at the EOC. So like I said, could be used anywhere in the county. If we're having a big event downtown, they can move it down there. It could be used for, it's got big AC units, could be used for a cooling station, any kind of public education.
If we approve it, I would really like to see it used a lot in the county. I know sometimes we get things and they kind of sit under the barn because they're hard to maneuver or use or whatever. And then 10 years down the road, you've got this trailer that's been sitting under the barn. But it's something we can use, and it would be out in the community, and it can help the residents, and like you said, cooling stations or education of the young people for swimming or biking or things like that. I think it's a neat thing to have, and considering that the grant's gonna cover most of it.
Who would man it? In other words, if you pulled it out hard, who would be in charge of it?
It really just depends on who's using it for the day. I mean, it's a county vehicle, so it's just like the car sitting up here. Now, I would probably have one of our guys move it out there, just more familiar with the larger equipment. They're very easy to deploy and set up. But if we move that down for, barbecue at the Heart, I hope some of my guys are able to attend that and do some education out of there as well. But if it's just the TDC set up, once it's set up, it's good to go. It doesn't have to run on generator power. If we have places, and I'll just, for example, right now we have the small command van at the sheriff's office that they parked up at Jenny Springs for an event. We always park in the same spot. They wired us a plug to plug it in. For something like this, if we park in the same spot at Heart Springs, we wire something up out there to plug it in, and we have a designated area where it's set up every year. It just gives us, right now, we don't really have anything We have some smaller stuff that we can bring out from time to time, but these large events,
So
Down-
whoever requested would be in charge of manning it or?
yeah, whoever's using it for the event that day, they would be in charge of manning it. But some of the stuff I put in the grant, which is what helped us get approved, there's a lot of strategic goals out there for EMS that small communities don't always have the opportunity to meet. Again, fall prevention, it's literally handing out the information and telling people how to prevent falls in their home. Drowning prevention is one of their goals. Great place to be doing it out there at Heart Springs. Same thing with, when we do the events at Jenny, they already have a set where they give out free life vests. So just depending on the event and what's going on out there, we can also get our information out as well. Pretty much work for anything. But again, whoever decided to borrow that day, we would definitely help set it up and make sure everything was done correctly, but I don't see them having to do much manpower on it.
Today, let's just remember, the only thing we're doing today, I mean, the discussion was good. We're just approving that it's okay to accept the grant and them send us a contract to bring back to the board. So the contract to come back and all this is, everything's got to come back to you guys for approval.
That was my question,
Yeah.
because I don't recall seeing that grant award.
This particular grant, they require us the board to approve accepting it before they send us the contract.
And then when you get the award back and we review the terms of that grant for $125,000, then you will go out and bid for the trailer,
Correct.
and it'll be within the 125. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, and we have seen the terms of this. The good thing about the contract with the state, or the terms with the state, is if we don't use the funds, we have to give them back. They're gonna send it automatically, but we had to tell them, hey, we're gonna take the funds.
So that's what you're asking for, approval to accept the grant, then you'll get the
Technically, we've
paperwork.
accepted the grant, and I'll explain that. They've changed the process. We've not received our award letter. They changed the process on us about 2 weeks ago. We got an email saying, hey, we need this approved by June 30th. We looked over everything and said, you know what? It literally states in there, if you don't use this money, you have to give it back to us. So we went ahead and said, yes, we'll approve the grant. I am asking them to accept it right now, and then we'll come back with the formal paperwork and everything. But technically, we accepted the grant, because if we didn't do it by the 30th, we'd have lost it. And they didn't actually send us the paperwork until Thursday of last week.
Okay, well, that's,
This paperwork. We hadn't received the grant though.
yeah, it's subject to approval
Yes,
from the
sir.
board if they
Approval
want
of
to
the
spend $31,250 of their money to
And
get
when-
the $125,000 grant, and subject to me looking it over and the board approving the grant award.
Yeah, and at that point, we can answer some of those questions that you
The
had.
TDC, yeah.
What is the deadline to complete?
I believe they give us a year to complete all that.
So
Pretty
we
much as long
could,
as we're doing
So you can
quarterly
get the
reports.
31 in the
Probably
next
might be
budget year?
yeah, so we could look at discussing this during budgets and putting it in for next year's budget.
It's, as long as we're sending in quarterly reports, which has always been a stipulation of the state. This year, they just asked for an MOA. That's the only thing that's changed with any of the grant processes with the state. So they're not sending out those award letters. I see them streamlining that again. They've changed every part of the award process of the selection process of these grants over the past year, so.
James, we can't use this funding for something else. We decide there's a higher need for something in EMS fire. It's only mobile.
You know, these are, and yes, they are very restricted to this trailer and anything associated with this trailer. So if we're able to get this trailer done for under 125, and we find that we can put some additional equipment on it, or make the trailer 2 foot longer to a custom built trailer, or put a slide out to make an area bigger in it, we would do our best to spend those funds. Because again, anything we get a discount goes back to the state. We still have to pay our match portion of that. So, but it cannot be spent for anything else.
And Chief, you've seen language in that grant award that allows other public usages just outside of the EMS category. You can use it for other public purposes.
Sheriff's Department, can they
I
use it?
actually put that in the grant. When I wrote the grant, I wrote it for,
We're not restricted to just EMS. We can use it for other county public functions.
Yes, sir, and I wrote it for like a combined use grant. I mentioned the sheriff's office. So what they really wanted to see is the strategic goals for EMS. We met 3 strategic priorities for EMS that we're not currently meeting. They don't audit this as much. If we used it twice, they're not gonna come back and say you didn't use that enough, you have to send it back. I think this is something we've been trying to do for a long time. We've just not found a way to have anything cost effective, and a $400,000 trailer that has a table and an air conditioner in it is not very appealing to me.
All right. What do you wanna do?
EMS and the sheriff department share costs.
Well, that's why I'm kind of asking for it to come out of the general fund, so it's shared amongst everybody. However y'all wanna disperse that, that's fine. I didn't want to pay for it solely out of EMS because it's not gonna be used solely for EMS. Could use, sheriff's office goes on a deployment, this could be an asset that travels with them on a deployment. If emergency management does the same thing, if the sheriff's office has something set up, if the county commission is holding an event and wants this trailer there for any kind of advertisement we want to do, PDC, anything like that, this can be used for any of that.
All right. What do you wanna do, guys?
But you need motion, move forward with the grant.
Yep.
Need a motion to really accept the grant. And then again, if we.
All right, we have a motion to approve the grant. Is there a second?
I'm gonna have to say no. I think we can do something different with the 31,000. I'm not against the project. I just, I wanna work on our fire departments that we got now and some other things other than spend it on this.
All right.
And if we, turn it back, say we don't want the trailer, it's got it going back, right?
Well, the trailer hasn't been built, anything like that. We just forfeit the money.
The 125,000, the grant money.
Yeah, it's actually they're gonna send us 90-something thousand. We just have to show that we spend the rest of the money.
Right.
I just don't know if this is a true need, to be spending $31,000 is the only thing.
Well, this is something that we don't have a facility like this, so normally we've used things like our med unit. We've used other equipment to try to do this, and in fact, we just don't do a lot of public events because of the fact that I'm not gonna sit my guys in the middle of a field for 8-10 hours without having any kind of resources around there. It's hard to set up. If we wanna do a tent somewhere, you set up a little tent with the fire truck there. Well, the fire trucks are always in service. I don't have a fire truck that we just take out of service and park somewhere as a display. And it's just, every time we try to do that, something happens with it. This is more to reach our public education, promote our programs that we currently have, such as the community paramedicine program, add new programs such as fall prevention, drowning prevention, things like doing the bicycle helmets when we have the event. You have some here in Trenton. It's a great place to do that at Hart Springs. You have the TVs on the inside where you can do the video education. You can store supplies on there. You can fill the back of that trailer up and bring it out, set everything up, and have kind of a point where everybody can come through and get more education of our services.
Can I make a
All
recommendation?
right. Yes.
If we accept the funding, that doesn't mean we have to use it. And we've got to go through the budget process for the remaining amount. We haven't looked at TVC and all. So accepting it, the only thing that obligates you to is the money comes. If you don't use it, you turn around and you send it back, which is a very easy process to send it back.
All right, so were we
So,
gonna vote on this again after
Yeah.
today?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you're not
All right.
saying you're gonna spend the money today,
Yeah,
so.
because I'd like to
as
bring
we
back
go-
how much TVC was gonna pay out of this and
Right.
stuff like that.
Only
Okay.
thing we're saying today, we've talked about a lot, but the only thing you're saying today is except the 93,000, something like, you're not saying you'll spend it. So if you decide not to spend it, then Mr. Romans can just send it right back to you. And you're not obligated to the
Our
35,000.
only obligation
Okay.
with a yes vote
So
today
you're
will be
not-
quarterly reporting.
You're not committing to.
Okay, so that will
Spending
come
or
back and we
anything.
will then know exactly how we're gonna pay for this to see then if that's something we want to
And
do.
if we don't feel we can pay the 31,000, we'll send the money
Okay.
back. It's
And
just that,
then-
it's that So
All right, we
you're
have
not,
a,
you're not
Okay.
agreeing to spend
Okay,
anything
that's-
today, you're
I
just
feel better
agreeing
about
to.
that.
we have a
accept
motion by
that.
Commissioner Thomas, to, apply for this grant. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll make a second. Just
Not
to-
applying for it.
No.
Right.
To
No, we were,
accept
To
we're
accept.
accepting it.
We're accepting,
To
but
accept it.
we can send it back. We're gonna see
Right.
where that 31,000 is gonna come from. How much can DDC pay for that? And, where we're looking at getting that money from.
Yeah, and again, the only requirement of us receiving that money right now is quarterly reporting to say, have you spent it? And if you spent it, what have you spent it on?
And Mr. Lang wanted to be able to review the paperwork, so,
And
It's
it's
gotta
gonna
come
come
back
back.
to you, paperwork, she's gotta come back.
huh?
That paperwork will come back to you.
Okay.
All right.
Without dedicated personnel though, I don't see many requests for it unless somebody has enough people to get it put out there and get it set up and get it manned at the event and stuff like that. I mean, I can see where it would do good in the community, but I just don't see it being used much. Go back to your point, it's parked under shelter somewhere. We got it, we spent $31,000 and it got used one time last.
That means we had a command post one time with a post and it.
We bought with forfeiture money, yes.
Well, they use the command post a couple times a year, but the command post is really, it's not really set up as a command post, so there's no way to, you can fit 3 people in there if you want to have a conversation. This is set up a little bit different, and I'll bring all that back to you.
Yeah.
We'll bring more information on this.
Yeah, I'd like to see more
Yeah,
information
if y'all
on
will
it.
just let us keep the money for now.
Yep.
And then we'll make our quarterly report. Again, even if we have to push it out,
So this is not gonna cost anything right now. If we accept it today, it's gonna come back and you're gonna bring us some more information.
correct.
back
The
on
only
it.
time we would spend our match is if we actually, let's
And
say
we
we went and
approve it.
purchased the trailer and made our expenditures, we have to spend that much money towards this trailer.
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Smith to, for the matching grant award.
And it's to bring back to us.
Yes, it'll be brought back to us.
So this is not final. This is not, we're not gonna pay $31,000.
And it sounds like,
Correct.
James, when you come back, you should have a pretty good case for why we gotta have it. That's
And you
what
would,
I'm hearing.
regardless of what happens right here, you would still have to approve
Right.
just have to go out to bid, you would still have to
Yeah.
approve every bit of that. So we just need, because of the way they've done it this year, we just need to accept it. Which actually we usually do that every year when we get the grant award letter. So we're just accepting the money this time.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No, opposed.
All right, got 3-1, motion passes. All right, thank you.
Little information on that state grant as well too. I pulled some numbers recently. So for the 10 years prior to 2016, so 2006 to 2016 is when I started applying for this. The county received $43,000 in grant funds from this source. Since 2016 to today, with the approval of this, our average is $53,000 a year we receive from this grant source. Some of them have been larger. We've had as much as $160,000 awards. Some years, there wasn't anything available out there that was cost effective that we went for. But this has been a very good funding source for EMS over the past, since 2017, we submitted our first grant request.
Well, we, as Daryl also says, we run this county a lot on grants, and so we like to see y'all hunting those and finding them. But we wanna, like I said, when we're gonna put a matching fund with it, we just want to be sure they're gonna be spent, on something that is for the residents. I mean, that's who we're
We'll
buying.
bring some more
for, so-
information, layouts and everything of this and some different use categories for it.
Yeah, I'd
All
like to see that way.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate
And
it.
just
Yes,
thank you, James, for all the work that you do and other staff and looking for grant money. I think Mr. Romans or Newton mentioned that over 50% of our budget is funded by federal and state revenue, which means our staff is very successful in going after and getting grant money, which allows us to build buildings, buy vehicles, pave roads, do a lot of things we couldn't do without that. So we appreciate you guys very much.
We do, we
Thank
do,
you.
and we appreciate you looking for those grants out there.
Thank you.
So thank you. All right, emergency management, AC disaster consulting professional services agreement.
Yes, sir. This agreement is one that Mr. Smith went out. You want to tell them about the agreement, Mr. Smith?
Ralph Smith, Emergency Management. The previous meeting we had, we approved the agreement for Synergy Disaster Consulting. And this is a backup listing. This company here is a backup company to Synergy. In case they have too much on their plate, we can call this company up. This was properly bid, it's still bid, and Synergy and AC Disaster were the two that we did.
These are just kind of like on call.
Yes, sir. It doesn't cost us anything to recall them.
If you don't have it as after, they just don't get.
Correct.
Right. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve that.
all right, we've got a motion to approve the disaster consulting professional services agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Langford, a second by Commissioner Smith to approve this agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
And I think the last time, Ralph, they did a great job cleaning it up.
They did. The last group we had did a super
That was
job.
Synergy.
Yes, sir. So Synergy is the company that did the most of the paperwork for myself and Mr. Ullman. I think they were fantastic. It really, really helped us out. They are up to date on the consistent changing of FEMA, and they were able to help us get our money back quickly.
They were at our convention we went to this last week. They had a booth at the convention we were at. So I got to talk to them there. So they sound like good people.
We're very pleased with.
Yes, I think we all were.
All right.
The next item is the Starlink, MOA. I'll let Mr. Smith explain.
So I was at a conference 2 weeks ago and found out that the state was offering Starlink systems to every physically constrained county. And it is at no cost to the county except for the service. And I would like to keep the service on the Starlink for whenever internet goes down. It's service is approximately $200 a month.
So what do we are we using right now?
We're using our normal internet at the EOC. This is in case during storms when internet goes down.
So we don't have a backup right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Let me ask you something, Ralph, on this memorandum of agreement for Starlink.
Yes.
There's no, I don't see where it says there's no cost in this agreement.
They are donating the Starlink to Gilchrist County. That is what the MOU is for.
At no cost, okay?
Yes.
And,
We'll just pick up the monthly tab.
but there's a service agreement?
Yes, so there
Who
will be a
provides,
service
who
agreement.
provides the service agreement?
I will be contacting Starlink, setting a service agreement up for the county.
And they'll be sending us a second contract for us, for a
Yes,
service
sir.
agreement?
Yes, sir.
And how much does that run?
It's approximately $200 a month.
200 per month?
Yes.
So no cost on this, $200 on
Yes.
the service agreement?
Yes.
Okay. You know, there's a misspelling on page 205 of this, next, under your name.
I did not, sir.
Go to page 2.
Yeah, go to page 2, Kate.
That's a term of 5 years, Ralph?
Yes, sir.
This is used if we lose all
oh.
communication, then you can
Come back.
still communicate, Ralph.
Yes, sir. This one would work.
Would this come out of your,
It would come out of my normal operating budget for preparedness.
Yeah, right under Ralph's name there, just want to correct that little emergency, the word title, Emergency Management Director. I know that's petty, but you don't want to get that signed and sent off to the state.
They sent it to us.
Yeah, they sent it to us like that from the state.
They need to use spell check.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys.
That's all
This
I
is-
had.
So this is what emergency management is for. It's all about preparedness. I mean, I pay for satellite phones every month. And this is just like that.
This is the backup for when,
It's the backup to the backup, yes. sir.
yeah,
Satellite internet.
right. What do you want to do, guys?
So will this replace the other ones? The other?
This will
satellite?
not replace the satellite phone.
This is an addition.
So this is just satellite internet.
Correct.
So you're saying we pay $200 a month whether we use it or not,
Yes,
or only when we use it? Whether we use it
whether
or
we
not?
use it or not.
That's why they give you such a low rate on it.
That's why they give it to you free.
Are there, in there of course, there are terms in the subscription agreement as far as how long we have to maintain it, that sort of thing.
5 years.
It's a 5-year agreement?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to approve this, I would approve it, subject to seeing that service agreement. Taking a look at that and approving that as well, once you have a visual in front of you to look at.
This comes out of your budget, right?
Yes, sir. Part of
So
the, it's
right
part of the
now-
grant that I receive every year.
So right now, we have nothing at all.
If internet goes down at the ESC, we don't have internet.
Has it been down before, like during storms? Has our internet gone down before?
If you have a disaster come through here, we're gonna have internet.
We have not currently lost internet on the internet we currently have, but all it takes is somebody drilling in Jacksonville and we lose internet. So, again, that's what emergency management's for, it's for preparedness. I pay for this out of the state grants I get every year, so it's really no cost to the county except for this out of the state grant. That is not my budget, it's
That's what you use to pay for it?
yes.
Is there other companies that do that? I've talked to a couple of companies that offer these kind of services. In other words, if you have a disaster, you lose everything, they can offer that kind of service in a disaster. But is there other companies that you've talked to that offers this, or is this just like?
Yes, but again, this is if you buy this Starlink, it's very expensive.
Okay.
Basically, we are approving right now is to receive this Starlink from the state of Florida.
They're gonna give
The
that to
monthly
us.
service I can approve.
They're
State of-
offering us
The
the
state
kit.
of Florida's already negotiated all of this.
They're
But-
offering us the kit, and we just don't
Correct.
pay for the
But it's
service.
inoperable unless you
Correct,
sign a subscription agreement with, SpaceX. I believe that's
correct.
they've
Elon, one of
negotiated.
Elon Musk's
Yeah.
company, I think.
And it would cost us $2,400 to have a backup system. That's,
Correct.
okay. Yeah, I would make a motion, we approve accepting this as a backup for internet for fire rescue.
All right, we have a,
I'll second it. And-
all right,
And you're gonna pay for it with your state grant,
Yes, sir.
right.
the $200 a month.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Langford to approve the Starlink memorandum agreement,
Was that subject?
MOA.
Was
It will have to come back with the agreement when,
Service agreement.
the service agreement when it's received in paper form so we can see it. Sir? Mr. Newton, did you have a question?
Well, I was asking if it was subject to the,
Seeing the service agreement. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All right, well, thank you very much. We will move on, attorney, Mr. Lang, do you have anything else to bring to us?
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's one of those rare moments that, I really don't have anything to bring before you, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
No, we're in good shape, I think. Anybody got any questions?
How'd you enjoy your class down there?
I learned a lot.
Good, good. I walked in one of them by accident.
Anytime you can get in a room with 180 attorneys, and listen to them talk for 2 days, you learn a lot.
Well, good. All right, we'll move on to Mr. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item, we've already addressed, gonna move to the budget recap. As you can see, we're already 74% through this year. In our general fund, we've had year-to-date expenditures of almost $15.5 million. Year-to-date revenues of just under $16.3 million. In fire, we've had year-to-date expenditures of a little over $950,000 versus revenues of a little over $1.1 million. In transportation, you'll see we have year-to-date expenditures of almost $1.8 million versus revenues of 1.4. We are continuing to have to keep an eye on that. As you can see, expenditures are continuing to exceed our revenues. We do have projections, and I do believe once we purchase the zipper, that's already been, the board has already approved purchase of. Once we have that purchase, we are going to probably need to put additional funds in to cover the cost of that, even with the use of the impact fund dollars. So anyway, just want to keep you aware of that. Moving down to EMS, we've had year-to-date expenditures of just over $2 million versus revenues of right at 1.5 million. There's a big jump in expenditures that is due to the purchase of the 2 ambulances. And we did budget to utilize fund balance to pay for those two ambulances. So, while that looks pretty drastic change from our last, budget recap, that will be the reason, and it's well within what we were expecting, so. Solid waste, continues to run very well. Year-to-date expenditures just under 800,000 versus revenues of just over 1.6 million.
What is the change there, why all of a sudden we are bringing in more than we were spending?
Well,
A good,
transfer from the general.
okay, okay, so there were additional funds put into, okay,
That's
that
correct.
makes sense.
That's an advance to the fund.
Yeah, they were in the red at one time.
That's right, they were in the red at one time and now we brought them back up, okay.
And for the record, that was Richard Roman's finance director.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions on that? If not, we'll move to, it's time to appoint our Value Adjustment Board members and our citizen member. So I just need two board members to serve as VAB board members, as well as we do need a nomination for a citizen member. As you know, Amy Owens has served the last number of years. She has agreed to serve again if the board would choose to have her serve again.
So I would, well,
Me and Bill, well, ain't it?
yeah, you and I did it last year and I don't mind doing it again. Do we need a motion of who these people are? So you're saying Amy?
If you appoint them, yes.
Okay, we'll appoint Amy if she's willing to serve again.
And that qualification is
Mr.
that
Thomas, are you willing to?
she has to have homestead property here in the county, I think is the qualification, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Thomas has agreed and I'll agree to do it. So that'll be the three people.
Okay. If we could just have a motion to. approve
I'll make a
those.
motion that we appoint Bill Martin and Kendrick Thomas as our Value Adjustment Board member.
Second.
And Amy is our community member.
That's right.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And per the statute, our chairman will serve as the chairman of the Value Adjustment Board.
Well,
correct?
the VAB actually appoints, they actually elect their own, but it does have to be one of
I'm sorry.
the VAB board actually, they nominate who the chairperson will be, but it has to be one of the commissioners.
Gotcha.
It's Bill.
Be either or. Either
Correct.
or.
It's
I know it had to be a commissioner that was the chairman.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I did it last year with the help of Mr. Newton walking me through it. So
Yes, sir.
I'd never done that before. So,
It's good opportunity.
good
to serve.
yeah,
opportunity.
sure is.
You
Everybody
you
needs
learn.
to
Get to
one
practice your parliamentary procedure and your
You learn a
talking
lot.
ability. All right.
Uh,
We're coming up with some dates for budget workshops.
Actually, one more item, Mr. Chair. I do have the contract from the VAB attorney. You may recall that the board and the school board actually has to pay for the VAB attorney. And I just need approval for the county commission board to sign the attorney agreement.
Is that Mr. Stevens again this year?
It is going to be Ronald
That's
Stevens
Ronald,
again.
Ronald Stevens, PA from Bronson.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
And
the
is the fee the same as last year, Mr. Clerk?
fee is actually the same.
$175.
Motion to approve the, contract.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a
I'll
second?
Yeah, I'll second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Sharon, a second by Commissioner Tommy Langford to approve the attorney agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
This is for the Value Adjustment
This is
Board.
for the Value Adjustment Board. Yes. Motion passes.
Next item is, we need to discuss when we're going to have our budget workshops. Last year, we only had to have 3 budget workshops to get to our final. I would anticipate that I'll have budget books by the 15th, if not sooner, for the board to review. I'd like to recommend us looking at July 18th as our first budget workshop date.
Wow, 18th.
What time?
That's up to the board.
You want to do is there a problem if we do it a little earlier with anybody making it here? We met like at 2:00, so Ms. Sharon, is that
That's
gonna
fine.
mess you up with school or
Good.
Daryl or anybody? On what day? On the 18th of July. 2:00?
Just,
And that's actually what we did last year.
Yeah, I think that's what we did, 2:00.
yeah, the only thought is the public might not be able to make it by 2:00. So, I don't know. What about before the 15th?
Well, the problem with that is I'm not certain we'll have the books
Okay.
presented by then. My goal is to have them before then, but hopefully, worst case, we're gonna have them to you on the 15th. So if we had a workshop that day, it wouldn't give you a lot of time to review. So that's why I
On the
was considering
15th, we'll get the
that day.
books and then we'll have our first meeting on the 18th.
And normally, it's a couple hours or how?
Yeah.
Typically anywhere 2 to 3 hours. That's what they usually run.
But I mean, 2:00, why would you want to?
Oh, I can meet anytime. I just know sometimes they go a little longer, especially the first ones. I thought, get us out of here before dark, but it doesn't matter to me. If anybody, y'all wanna do it later, wanna do 4 or 5,
Don't
I
matter.
don't care.
Yeah.
Four's fine, three's fine, two's fine for me.
Don't matter.
I'm like Daryl, I'm thinking about the public, if they want to participate, 2:00 might not be cool.
All right, so what do y'all wanna do?
So just keep it at 4 then?
Keep it at 4?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, 4:00.
All right, so our first would be on the 18th at 4:00. Then we just need to go ahead and at least do 1 or 2 more, I would suggest. We do have a deadline to certify to the property appraiser of August 4th to set your tentative millage rates and your tentative budget hearing. So, I'd like to try and get at least a couple in before then, so we could, as well as, potentially have a special meeting, go ahead and schedule that so that the board could approve, those tentative rates so that we can get that to the property appraiser.
What about July 23rd, the next week?
So I do have a conflict on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
What about the 25th?
23rd is the canvassing board meeting, but I could do the 25th.
How about the 25th?
Could do the 25th.
Well, now, Todd, will the first one be constitutional officer?
I actually need to get with the constitutionals with the dates and make sure what dates they're available for. Sometimes we're able to do all the constitutionals at the same meeting, but sometimes, with conflicts, they have to, some will do it one meeting and some will do another.
And we'll get some of that information before the vote.
Correct.
Hopefully.
Yes, we should have we'll advertise what our planned, departments are.
Yeah.
And then, we do normally put in, the ability to discuss other things if we have the time. But we usually try and have some specific ones that we're gonna try to get to.
Okay, so if we do the 18th and the 25th,
We need one more probably, the
4:00?
29th? Do we need another?
Yeah,
one?
I don't think you need me, but I believe I announced to the board, I'll be gone the week of the 22nd through the 27th. So,
Well, do we
but I
wanna
don't
look at the
believe,
Following week,
pardon me?
do we wanna look at the following week then?
How many do you need, 2 or 3?
I think 3 would be good.
Okay, so we got,
We can always cancel if we don't need
we
it.
got 2
but
right now,
How about 29th?
29th
got 4,
at 4.
so that's our 3 then.
29th.
Well, are we gonna still do the 25th?
I thought we were trying to move it.
Okay, let's move it.
That's basically a workshop.
So then do we need to do the 30th also the next day? That will be our
Could do that.
3?
29th and 30th then?
Although sometimes it's easier if we have at least a day between so that
So they can look at
Mr.
everything.
Rollins
Okay.
has the ability, if there's lots of things that have changed.
Well,
So
August 1st?
1st? We'll do the 29th and the August 1st?
All right, at 4:00.
So that's our 3.
Okay.
And we might not need the 3rd one, but we're gonna put it down.
All right, so July
So-
18th, July 25th, and August 1st,
No, July
No,
18th,
no.
July 29th,
29th.
and August 1st.
Correct.
What about,
Both on the 29th and the 1st at 4.
if,
Yeah.
if we're not sure about the third one, could we set it an hour before the meeting on the
no,
5th?
Duke won't be here. We're
And
gonna do the 18th or 29th and August 1st.
Because when do we have to have the,
Right.
finalized by the,
August 4th.
We do have to have, the tentative rate. We do have to provide the tentative rate. Basically, this year it's basically the second, because the fourth falls on a Sunday. So we do have to
Second of-
certify the tentative rate,
Second of what?
2nd of August. So that Friday is when we would need to,
So we
you know,
probably need to have-
no. So if, we'd either need to have a special meeting on the 29th or the 1st,
Okay.
in order to set the tentative rate.
They're all at 4 o'clock.
So, and so also we're gonna have, one of these is gonna be a meeting also, then, correct?
Right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna set a special meeting, with the time at the completion of the prior workshop.
For
So-
which one? The
Well,
29th
that's-
and the
That's
30th?
what we have to figure out.
I mean, the 29th and the 1st, in case we finish on the 29th? I don't think
Or
we'll
we could,
finish
we could do it on the
29th.
29th and just, work towards getting a tentative rate. Again, the tentative rate is just that.
Tentative.
It's subject to change, and it normally does.
Mhm.
So we just have to ensure that we create a tentative rate that's high enough that if you needed to go to that, and if not, then you come
We go
down.
down, we always go
When you're
down.
tentative, you can go down, but you can't go up. So
Right, we typically set it up
We
and then
set
we,
it up
then
so
we
that
set
we-
it down at the end.
at the end, just to make sure we got what we need before we get to the end, and then.
And you have your
we can
second regular
adjust it.
monthly meeting on the 15th, July the 15th.
Correct.
Yeah.
At regular time.
All right, so our next, board meeting is on the 15th of July
Mhm.
at 4 o'clock. And then on the 18th, the 29th, and the 1st of August at 4 o'clock, we'll be having budget meetings.
Yep.
And they are open to the public.
At 4 o'clock.
Correct. And the 29th, we'll have the special meeting to set the tentative rate.
All right, and on the 29th will be the time we set the tentative rate.
And just for the board's information, that typically for the tentative and the final budget hearings, normally we would do that on September 5th, which is a Thursday due to Labor Day. And then the regular meeting, or the next regular meeting would be September 16th for the final. And of course, we always do those, the regular meetings start at 4,
Right.
and the hearings would start at 5.
What's the second one, Todd?
The second one is September 16th.
September 16th,
Okay.
16th at what time?
Well, normally we do our regular board meeting
Right,
at 4,
and then that'll be the time.
and
certain.
then your budget hearings would start at 5:15.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. You have anything else?
That concludes my report.
All right, we will, move on to Commissioner's report. Ms. Langford.
Yeah, I don't know, I know, Mr. Crosby, you're leaving in August. And I know that it's gonna take us a while to, replace you and start, going, I know last time it took us, I don't know, probably at least 4 months. I don't know if there's someone internal right now that we could place as, interim, just to kind of learn a little bit of the ropes until then. My thought is after then election, then we can, maybe start going out, and whoever the new board will be, they can start interviewing and seeing who they want to, hire for the new administrator. What are your thoughts, Mr. Lang?
I don't have any.
You don't have any, okay? On the process, what are your thoughts on the process?
Well, it's kind of, are we firmed up on Bobby? I mean, do we know what we're doing with Bobby? And if so, that's probably not a bad idea to have someone on an interim basis,
Just to take
subject
care of
to
stuff.
advertising and actually interviewing and hiring a full-time administrator. It's better to play on Bobby's knowledge than it would be to just be caught off guard and not have anyone, I would think.
Well,
Does Bobby need to submit a written resignation? I mean, he's done it verbal. does
Well,
he?
that's what you had told him before, I think at the end of March meeting, that he had made a verbal, but it was kind of uncertain, and he had graciously agreed that he would stay at least until you got through your budget process, but you never did firm up any other date that I'm familiar with.
Bobby, are you willing to submit a written resignation and maybe give us a date?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
What's the last day of August?
Huh?
The last day of August.
The last day of August?
Yeah.
Well, when she said August, I didn't know if you
Yes,
meant
the
August
end,
1st
he
or
said he
August
would
the
stay till the
31st.
end of August. He said that at the, you wasn't here that meeting, but he has agreed to stay to the end of August.
Right.
You had left when that had, you had went to the, I don't know where you
Awards
were.
program at Bill.
So he's gonna stay to the end of August, but if we can have somebody as interim, that way Mr. Crosby can, someone, that's already, working for us maybe that wants to take on additional duties, that he can kind of start showing them what to do, because it's gonna take us a while to hire a new administrator.
Well, last time we put it out for bid, I think we put it out for bid, and then we formed a committee to pick the top 5.
Yeah, you did a request for qualifications, I think. Request for qualifications.
Right.
Is what you
right.
did.
And then we picked a committee that selected the top 5, right? I think. And then we hired from the top 5.
Yeah, you just did applications.
Yeah, there was a
Is that what
committee
you did?
that narrowed it down.
Bobby says you just did straight up employment applications. People submitted applications through a certain period of time, and then you picked your top.
Yeah, but we had a committee
So
that narrowed it down last time, and we then interviewed the top.
Yeah,
how
I
many?
know. Last time there was 23 applicants.
That's what I'm saying, and this is gonna take time, but that way, if we could have somebody that could take on the day-to-day stuff
Yeah.
after Mr. Crosby leaves,
Yeah.
because it's gonna, and I don't know how y'all feel, but I would like the new board to be involved in this hiring process. Because they're gonna have to work with them, whoever that is.
I totally agree. So Bobby,
And-
could
and
you?
also, you're not gonna be through your budget until September either.
Right.
That's another thing to think about.
So if he's gonna
When you
stay
have
through the
everything in
budget
place,
process,
Todd?
he may be here a little longer, because he also said he'd help us through the budget.
That's what I was
process.
thinking.
Yeah. I mean, you are willing to stay through the entire budget process?
Well, we'll be through the budget process in August. We should be. I mean, the only thing you got is September 5th. It's kind of final. I mean, I think you finalizing it up on September 5th.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
Bobby, what would be helpful, I think, is to have the job description or contract, the package, the advertisement, some of that stuff the board can start looking at. And then maybe we could discuss it more at the next meeting.
And I don't, if there's anybody that wants to step up and do interim, maybe we could hear from, have, the list of those people who are willing to step up and do that. Maybe at the next meeting, they can let us know if they're willing to do that.
The HR director, she's here. She could, leave it up to her to form an application and all.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
We're depending on her,
yes,
help and assistance and leadership there.
yep.
That's for sure.
You do know that the door is still open for you to stay if you want to.
All right. We would need to start moving forward on some of that stuff, and maybe we can get some applicants that are interested. Daryl?
Yeah, I don't, other than, several of us attended the Florida Association of Counties annual meeting last week, and also the Small County Coalition meeting, and it was very helpful, a lot of training for commissioners, and you get a chance to talk to some legislators and state leaders, and so it was good for us.
Yeah, I also, don't mean to interrupt you because you can go on, but I talked to some other commissioners about the, solar farms and what's going on in their community and trying to get some ideas there. So it was very, very helpful, very, very good, convention. And, we got to, conduct a lot of business that needs to be conducted. Another thing, we have our, second vice president is from Levy County. A very good, commissioner friend, Mr. Meeks from Levy County is, won the second vice president. So that is nice to have someone from a neighboring county and someone who is a member of the Small County Coalition who's representing us to be a neighbor to us and a friend. So that was good. Anything else, Mr. Smith? All right, Mr. Langford?
Well, my first question, we said we was gonna do the application process. When are we gonna start we put out applications for a new county administrator, when are we gonna start the process? Tomorrow?
Well, I mean, it's
Start
gonna take a
immediately.
while. I mean, are you wanting the new commission to do the hiring? I mean, it's gonna take us a couple months just to get all the applications narrowed down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but we should start the application process today. And make it a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever. By then, you'll have all the applications and you can start the process of going through them. But you're probably not gonna pick a county administrator till maybe the 1st of September or the middle of September.
Okay, so you don't want the new board to pick that administrator?
No.
If there is a
They
new board?
will be picking the administrator, but we need to have a list before the new board gets on staff. So in
Right,
other
have
words,
it narrowed down.
have the applicants in, ready to go by the time they get
Right.
here.
Yeah,
In other words, if anybody wants to apply tomorrow, we start the application process, they can apply tomorrow. And we'll start building up the application, see how many we get.
You
And
may
then we'll
want
have to sort through the applications.
but I said I was gonna stay out of this, but, you may wanna let Ms. Moore prepare an application. She can email it to all y'all and have a chance to review it before you just start.
Start
putting
throwing
applications.
yes,
applications
listen,
out
we need to
there.
do that, I agree.
It's, you know.
Cause it does need to have some.
Yes.
It does need to have some.
I agree.
skills and things that we want.
I agree with Mr. Crosby. We need Miss Moore to get us the application together, Mr. Commissioner, Langford. And we need to agree on that application and then we can, put that application out of what we're.
But isn't that the same
requirements.
process we used last time, that we do applications and?
Yeah, but we need to look at,
qualifications and all
we
that
need to
kind of
look at the application though. We do, I want to be able, I want to see what the application looks like. Huh?
I'd like to see the whole package. Yeah.
Can you prepare that for us? An application and what you're gonna put in the ad as far as qualifications?
Well, we need to
That's
see.
what I'm
the
saying, we've
application.
already got a model application, don't we? Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. And you're gonna put the qualifications in with that application, so as long as they meet those qualifications, it'll be a
so
general
bring it to us and then
application.
we can, at the next, maybe at the next meeting, and then we can
We can get it out.
we can go ahead and get it out then.
Okay,
Yep.
All right,
as long as we're moving forward.
yeah, wanna move forward.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have quite a bit, but I want to share it with everybody. I did talk to Chris Doolin. He said, they do have a new road program come out that has been approved. It's called Farm to Market Road. It has been created, but it has not been funded. I talked to him about it and he said, I asked him he asked me how could it help us? And I said, well, we have no way to pave a dirt road unless y'all pay for it or help us. And he said, well, give me a road in mind. I said, well, some of our dirt roads, and I'm not picking on the farmers, but whenever they start their silage process, they tear up our roads and we fix it. They tear them up, we fix it. Through the whole watermelon season, everything else. I said, if y'all could help us pave some of those roads where we wouldn't have to go back and fix them year after year after year, that would be an excellent. He told me to keep it on front and center with our new legislature and with Senator Bradley.
Okay.
Make sure that they're aware of that. So I'm gonna follow up.
Farm to Market Road.
Farms to Market Road,
Yep, he did talk to us about that.
I talked to him about the solar farms. How in the world did it get through legislature?
Mhm.
And what in the Sam Hill does it have to do with ag?
Yeah.
You know, it's taking this land out of ag.
Mhm.
He said it was passed on property rights. People have a right to do whatever they want to with their property. He said that's how it got passed. Agree or disagree? And then one other thing that I talked to him about was House Bill 1365, public camping. And the governor has passed this as a law. Took effect today, I believe, July 1st. And Duke, he told us that we need to, and it says, I got it here somewhere, I'd have to look it up. It says the county has to establish some kind of ordinance to specify how we gonna regulate that. So you may wanna look into that. I can get with you and.
Okay, that's House Bill thirteen
It's
sixty-five.
House Bill 1365
Has to know
about
what
camping on public property. You know, they have a lot of people camping on the bridges and camping in public
Right.
parks.
Right.
And he said that the governor has signed the bill, but each county is required to have an ordinance of how they're gonna address that. I guess
Okay.
you would have to set a penalty if they disobeyed or, you know, broke the county ordinance or whatever. So that's something that you'll have to work on
Okay,
and bring back to us.
all right.
I went to one of the classes on the TDC funds. I did find out, a lot of good information about that. I also went to one on, sports tourism. Florida is the #1 sports tourism state in the United States of America. A lot of money generated, a lot of money generated. I believe, Duke, if I remember right, when our population gets up to 25,000, we're required by law to refurnish a public football field.
Where you
Recall
get-
any of that?
No, I don't.
Okay,
recall that.
I would like for you to check into that, and I'll try to check into myself.
Okay,
I believe when we got to, right now, University of Florida, as of April 1st, 2023, show us at 19,123 residents. Now, that's city and everything.
The public football field.
If we get to 25,000 population, we have to, furnish a public football field.
Yeah.
Do you have a statute or something? I've never heard that one.
You never heard that before?
I've read
Okay.
through the TDC quite a bit and I've never seen that.
I'll have to do my research, but we're responsible for furnishing county parks. And one time in the code, on the comprehensive plan or something, it said that if we got to a population of, this was on the board at first, when I was on the board first, 25,000, then we had to furnish a public football field. Because they use the high schools right now for all of our youth sports. and
Yeah.
everything. But I'll check on it. I may be wrong. Let me see. Also, I went to a class, before I get the football field. I would like to work on expanding our Field of Dreams if the board would support me. Maybe looking for some grants, TDC funds, whatever we can find. I went to that tourism thing. They were willing to help us to maybe expand our Field of Dreams because we've seen here today a good example of what our youth sports is all about. I was told last year there were 75 kids that didn't get to participate in basketball because they just don't have the facilities. I know they're always maxed out, they're always full. So, you know, I'm gonna try to work on expanding the Field of Dreams, come up with some grant money or whatever I can do, get with the people who run the program now, see if they'll form a committee or some type and see if we can make it bigger and better.
And I thought we had a committee about 2 years ago that was working on this.
I know that Alachua County got some grant money to build their facilities, and so we need to, maybe we could
Columbia County did the same thing.
find
They
out
used
what
some of their
grant system
TDC
they're going to get these grants, because, I agree, this has been something we've talked about for several years now.
some of those facilities were done with FERDAP money, Florida Recreational Development Assistance Program monies.
We met with the NG Wade people that work for it, Jacksonville, I think Bobby was there, didn't you, Bobby?
Yes.
And we had some pretty good feedback, you know, but
Mhm.
since then, there's been a change up at the company at work for us, so if we start again, it'd be renegotiated with the new president.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
worth looking into.
Yeah, because I thought you had, I thought we had something
Well,
that,
we looked at, out there on 307,
Right.
up past the power plant.
Yes, sir.
We own about 80 acres there. And they was in opposition to putting a ball field there. So, but anyway, with the company changing Boston and everything, there's a lot of stuff there that didn't care.
okay. But thank you for
And
looking
I
into
can
it.
get back with the new boss and see, but then he's got a board of directors that he's got to convince, and sometimes they don't work together good, but they still good people.
I just want to work on it. see how
Yeah,
far I can
we
get.
need to.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
All right, I also went to a class, put on by Salesforce, and it was about, AI, artificial intelligence, and now they have BI, which is business intelligence.
Yep.
And it's here. It's not coming, it's here, okay? The example they used was the building department. Salesforce comes in and sets up a program. People can go online, they can apply for their permits, they can look at ordinances, they can look at requirements, they can look at everything that you need to know what the county requires. They program it. AI is artificial intelligence, but it's only the intelligence of the person that put it in there. So if they concentrate on our building ordinances and our buildings codes, that's all the information it's gonna have access to. It ain't gonna have access to anybody else. So if I go in there and I fill out an application, it'll walk me through the process, it'll answer all my questions, it'll research for what applies, and then it'll give me an update on every move of that process. If I've got an inspection due in the morning at 9 o'clock, it'll send me an email saying that. That's all AI, not whether you agree with it or not. It's just like the internet, it's here to stay. But that might be something that we want to call them and come in and take a look at it. I think the world is headed in that direction. And the reason I say that, on the way home, we stopped at a Steak and Shake. They don't have a waitress anymore. You go over to the kiosk and you punch in your name and you punch in what you want, and you want pickle, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, mustard, whatever. And it goes back to the kitchen and they call you and tell you to come get it. They don't have a waitress. That's what our world may be coming to. It was a good class. It was very informative. It not only applies to the building department, it can apply to any department that we want to. Just something to think about. I went to another class, sponsored by Live Wildly. It was about land conservation. The girl told me that she was gonna do a economic impact study on the solar farms in Gilchrist County, what kind of economic impact they were having on Gilchrist County. I know I talked to Damon, that ag land was being taxed at $6.50 an acre. And now it's they were getting 100% subsidy, but now it's 80%. And he said that would be now taxed at $115 an acre. So we are gonna get some ad valorem tax money from the solar farms. Right. She's gonna do a study on the economic impact of how it would affect Gilchrist County itself. And she said she would furnish me that report, which I thought was good. The Dollar General, they got the roof on it pretty much today. They poured the front parking lot with concrete today, so it's coming along. I wanted to ask Bobby about Jenny Springs. Have we had any update as far as what they're gonna do for the 4th of July?
Well, their attorney and our attorney have been working on it. They put together some information, try to get through the 4th of July. They shared that with everybody that needed to have it, sheriff's department, so. And I don't know what the final conclusion was, but what will be, they are working on a final that will come back to this board after they get those and everybody gets them back and reviews them, and they work it down, and there'll be a final that comes back to the board. But as of right now, you know, they have about 4 weeks to try or less to try to get everything together. So they did make some changes.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to come up with a memorandum of understanding for the approval of the various parties by, I think the date was July the 8th. And then Patrice will forward that to us. We'll get it before the board to look at, presuming that does get done at that time. And that'll also be shared with the sheriff and all the parties that were involved, our EMS, to look at some of the recommendations that have come up with it. They have voluntarily made some changes to their operation also, and some additional signage that they placed out there on the property and that sort of thing. But at this point, it's still a little premature to see exactly where they're going with that. Oh, I'm sorry. They're working on it. They're to come up with a memorandum of understanding by July the 8th is the date that I was told. And then that will come back before the board. They'll also be disseminated to the sheriff, our EMS, the parties that were involved before, for their input, and then it'll ultimately come back before the board once Jenny has made their final proposal and the board agrees to it for you to pass as a binding covenant that runs with the land.
I had scheduled.
Friendly conversation too.
Absolutely.
Conversation's been very friendly and everybody's been very good.
Well, before the last board meeting, when the board hired an attorney, I had scheduled a meeting with the owners, and I went and talked to the sheriff and got updated on a lot of things, and then I will talk to Bobby, and he said since the board had hired an attorney and they had an attorney, it would be best that I cancel that meeting, so I did. But, I just wanted to move forward and have some progress, and it sounds like that's exactly what's happening. What about the speed signs, Bobby? Did we ever? Which sign? The speed signs, did we ever get a price on the flashing ones, the ones that flash the speed?
Two of those are right at $8,000.
$8,000?
So I was going to, we've got 40-mile-an-hour signs up out there, so that was just something that I was gonna look at building into our budget.
Yeah. I met a company down there that does that, and she sent me an email on some prices, and I'll share that with you too. Okay. Couple other things, and I'll be done. I have a request for a handicap ramp out front of the building. I know we have one here on the side, but a lot of people still come in the front without using this one out here, and several people have almost failed. I think it would behoove us to put some type of handicap ramp at the front there to help people get in and out of the building a lot better. Cause going up and down them steps, can be very dangerous for certain people. Is that something that we could look into, Bobby, or do?
The handicap ramp was designed about 3 years ago, and there's a gentleman putting cost to it right now.
Say what now?
The handicap ramp was designed about 3 years ago, and there's a gentleman giving us a cost on it right now.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, good. That would be fantastic. The only other thing I have is, I'm getting a lot of people complaining about the speed bumps out on, is it Shady Grove Road? 330?
Shady Grove Road.
Shady Grove Road. A lot of people is complaining about it. I wrote it twice now. I guess it was designed to slow down traffic.
Before they were in, it was a raceway.
But then that's law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
Well, riding it, if I'm driving a fire truck, I gotta stop every bump or hit it wide open. If I'm driving an ambulance, I gotta stop at every bump or hit it wide open. Lester Brown told me that it feels like his wife might still be alive if those speed bumps aren't there. If we need to remove them for the sake of better service, I say remove them. Maybe I don't know, was a survey done as far as how many people wanted them or how many people didn't want them? Did we send out any letters or anything like we did up there?
We followed the procedure that we're supposed to follow. There was over 70% of the people who wanted those.
I've
We've
driven
had
that
this
too, and
conversation several
I
times.
talked to people and most of them like it. They're glad they're there.
So we did a survey.
so-
Yeah, we did, and it's in my district, and I mean,
Yeah, we
the
spent
majority
over
of
a year
people out
doing it.
there, they did want it. I mean, we had, we did the letter, I think we sent the letters, we had the petitions, whatever.
So you did send out letters of petition?
Yeah, we sent
Yeah,
out
okay.
everything.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you was on the
I
board,
wasn't.
yeah. It wasn't, we didn't just put them up. I mean, this is something that took a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about speed problems. You're talking about buying $8,000 worth of signs to slow people down on another road. And now you're talking about speed humps. So all of it can come back to law enforcement, but you can't put a law enforcement guy on a road 24/7. And honestly, on Shady Grove, the trees are so close to the road, and the way it is, it doesn't matter if you're an emergency response vehicle, you shouldn't be going down there
Yeah, it's a
so
dangerous
fast.
road.
You know, some of the situation comes down, I don't mean this to be ugly, but you know, if you've got a critical situation, you may have to make some changes in how you do things to try to help prevent some of those critical situations. Like one of the worst things for this gentleman that you're talking about, I'm pretty sure he lives in Levy County. The closest ambulance is Chiefland or Bronson. It might have been to get with Chiefland and Bronson and to see if they would allow us as Gilchrist County to respond instead of them. Because we're usually closer than they would be if we have some available, but we can't respond in Levy County unless they ask us to respond. So there's a lot of things that can be prevented and done. And the truth of it is, none of us ever know what our life expectancy is or what could have made a difference in it unless you're suicidal or something like that. But I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly or anything else about it, but how many lives have you saved maybe because you slowed people down? I mean, we had somebody hit a tree out there the other day and total a vehicle with speed humps on it.
Is that the only road we have those speed bumps
No,
on now?
we got them on 100, also, I think it's 100 to 110. Those residents went through the same process and put them on theirs.
I just thought it was the only one we had like that.
No,
Well, I know if you call an ambulance, if seconds count, anytime you have emergency seconds count, and when people think that if I didn't have to stop for them speed bumps, you know, things would be different.
Chief, you want to comment on that?
Chief Campbell Fire Rescue, I was asked the same question when those were put in. We responded trucks down that road, just tracked to see what the difference would be. And I think we had about a 30-second difference. So slowing down for the bump to the point where it was manageable to go over. Same with the fire truck. We didn't really notice much of a difference on that at all. And I'll second what he said, what Bobby said about the speed on that road. We don't need to be driving full speed on a road like that. Even on perfect normal conditions, the trees are just a couple of inches over the white line. It does that, I don't even know if that road has a white line. But the trees are just right off the road. That's the road that they need to be controlling the speed anyway.
Yeah.
So you're not getting these trucks driving 85 miles an hour, which is the max allowable speed on our trucks right now.
So when you say 30 seconds difference, you mean going that way or?
If I start at one end of the road and drive to the other, we only had before they were put in versus after they were put in, we had about a 30-second difference.
But if you're having a heart attack, that could mean a lot.
30 seconds is not going to change it and having a heart attack. Seconds do count, but there's so many other factors in that. And the biggest factor that he said is, and I spoke to somebody, I don't know if I spoke to him, somebody spoke to me about that call, and the Lee County ambulance chose to go a completely different route. They avoided the speed bump, maybe for a perception to slow them down, maybe perception, they know their truck didn't want to go over them, but they drove a different route to leave there, which would have added time to their call. Where the truck responded from, I'm more interested in making sure that our trucks are available and nearby to get there faster. The speed bumps have not been a factor to us on that road. I've run multiple calls on that road myself, and I've also been there in a marked vehicle while somebody still blew past me. For the most part, I think it slows people down. I travel that road personally. Both on 2 wheels and 4, and it definitely slows you down.
Yep, that definitely will. Or draw your teeth loose.
Yep.
I'll do some more homework.
Well, I drove that road too after the last request, and I found several residents outside, and I just stopped and talked to them, and every resident I talked to says, they don't have a problem with the speed bump. They said, man, before they were put in, it was
A racetrack.
it was Daytona. And they're glad they're in, and they say it may slow them down, and that's what it's intended to do, is slow people down. So, anything else?
I'll canvass the neighborhood a little bit more and see what I can find out.
All right.
No, I think that's everything I got.
All right. Mr. Thomas?
I bet. Sorry to take so long.
That's all right. I had a request again today, it was brought up about the rodeo arena, renamed Murphy. I'd like to put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yep.
So we could discuss this, vote on it, and put it to bed.
Name which road?
The rodeo arena.
Oh, yeah.
And name it after Murph Everett. They've been after that for
I think
years.
that would be good.
And I have no problem with it, but it'd be a board decision. So if we can get that on the agenda for next.
Yes, sir.
All right, most things I had have already been covered. For those of you who know Catherine McGinnis from Dixie County, she passed away this week. She was a big supporter of the FFA for not only in Dixie County, but worked with all the FFAs around. She passed away this week. So remember her family for that. And yes, we did go to a Florida Association of Counties meeting, and we got a lot of work, got a lot of great workshops. I went to some of the same workshops he did. I went to some other workshops also. A lot of good information given in those workshops. And so, and Daryl, did you have something else you wanted to add? No, got taken care of with his. All right.
It was excellent, the fact conference.
Yeah, it was, and every year it's very, educational, and that's why we go with the education of it. All right, any other public participation? Great to see a big crowd out here. I hope y'all have a wonderful 4th of July, and, try to stay cool and don't get overheated. Do I have a motion to adjourn? In a second?